All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for joining us for our July Lunch and Learn. We have Brendan Longley and Brad Flanagan here with Prepared, and they're going to talk to us about all kinds of new technology coming forward in 911. So thank you very much for being here, and I will turn it over to you, Brendan.
Great, thanks. I think I'm going to kick this over to Brad here. I promise this is not a death by PowerPoint. We're gonna get into the weeds here and give you the full test drive. But Brad, if you wanted to go ahead and kick us off here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys for being here, and I'm glad that we're getting the opportunity to kind of show, what's happening in not only prepared, but really what is this new technologies that are coming out, and we're starting to hear more and more of, like especially since we've been at conferences this last year, we're starting to see more and more of these future tech that are coming out, and you can't throw a rock in one of the exhibit halls and not hit somebody that's saying they're doing all kinds of things with AI. And, we believe in it here at Prepared that we are moving into a new era of 911. This is the era of assistive technologies that, back in the 90s and the early 2000s, we were moving from, well, 80s and 90s, moving from that pen and paper to CAD. And we saw a huge benefit for our telecommunicators and the abilities that we were able to have when we were given all of that additional resources, the data, the ability to track information. It gave us kind of a 10x. And over the years, we started seeing that, that 10x got filled by agency requests and additional duties and additional resources until we're back at that saturation point. And really, this new era of assistive technologies, in whatever form they take, are really going to start giving back that bandwidth and time and increasing the information and knowledge that your telecommunicators have to be able to provide that level of service that we've been looking for. So, my name is Brad Flanagan. I am the director of the PSAP Ambassador Program for Prepared. I've been here for about 10 months, and prior to that, I was the emergency operations manager in Pickens County here in Colorado. And yeah, it's been an amazing ride just getting to see and play with all of this new technology that we've been envisioning and bringing to market. And so today, we're really excited to show you that. With me is Brendan Longley. He is one of the sales account executives. He is the Colorado rep. Awesome guy, and has been traveling all over the state. So I'm sure if you haven't seen him, you've talked to him at least once. And if you haven't, we need to make some time so that we can all talk together. So really, I just wanted to, before we started on what we do, I wanted to look at who we are. Prepared primarily has been known as a company that is, the text and video services that a lot of agencies use with that piece of our product, and being able to communicate with citizens in a new way and being able to see what's happening on site was such a game changer. But what we realized is that really an inflection point in the world today that we have the ability to do something that we've never been able to do before in a PSAP. Because typically what we could control, right? We couldn't control the calls. We couldn't control the time. We couldn't control where those calls were coming. And so we were kind of tied into, well, we can add staff, we can enrich the staff, we can help the staff, but really the job is always going to stay the same. And we believe that we can change that paradigm so that we can start providing different resources to your staff to be able to make a more holistic approach to what are we processing and how are we doing that. And so we currently are in over 1,000 PSAPs with at least one of our products. We're helping almost 100 million citizens now, and we're in all but one of the 50 states. And we just ended up going on a state-funded deal for New Mexico that gave us a lot of opportunity to see what does it look like when a lot of centers that interconnect and touch start interacting with this kind of software. And I'm really excited to talk about some of those features as we go through the demo itself. And it's really great just how closely prepared it has been looking and interacting with those agencies. When I was at Pitkin, we beta tested all kinds of things. And if you spent more than 10 minutes talking to me, you got really tired of hearing about all the crazy stuff we were trying. And one of those was Prepared when we were doing transcription and translation and really working on some of that piece. I was blown away by the way they interacted, the intention that they had with getting feedback and working, not just to see, well, would you pay more for this or would you pay more for that, but really saying, what is going to help you the most? And I would, as I normally do, being like, oh, this thing would be really cool if I tried this. And magically, 2 weeks later, they'd come back and say, okay, we think we've built it. We think we've done this thing. And it was amazing the amount of listening and the amount of interaction they had. And the company has grown significantly over the last year. And we're very proud that uh, within our team is over half engineers and product developers themselves, that we have a very large and very robust team of people that are building these tools. So it's not going out and seeing what market tools they are or putting in a ticket with another company, that we are physically building them ourselves. And when we do that, we can do that at just a lightning pace. And so every time when you hear us be like, hey, have you seen the new stuff that we're doing? Within a month, I haven't seen the new stuff we're doing, and I'm the one playing with most of it, and it's just a lot of fun. So I don't want to take too much time just talking about us. I want us to really just jump in and look at what we're doing. So I'm going to throw it over to Brandon and just uh, have him kind of show you what is this end-to-end AI assistive platform that we're building? Because it's great to have AI tools, but a lot of times what we're doing is we're siloing that data once again to a point that we can't, it's hard to use, it's not applicable, there's not insight into several of these different pieces. And now with an end-to-end AI assistive that follows the entire flow of your calls, we're starting to see the benefits of that aggregated data that can do so much for us. So Brendan, I'm going to give it to you now and stop talking a little bit.
No, you're good. Thanks, Brad. And if anybody hears any barking dogs in the background, they're my office buddies. I've got about 3 dogs at my feet right now. So pardon the interruption if somebody shows up. Let me go ahead and get us kicked off here. Brad's not really kidding when he says how fast we've developed and come along. I've actually been with Prepared now coming up on a year. My previous life was more in the CAD and records management space. And it was for a very large CAD provider. And when he's talking about development and deploying it in product, when we say something's on the roadmap, that means it's most likely being delivered that quarter. If not, the furthest would be that following quarter. I came on and was evangelizing what a lot of us or a lot of you know us as for the assistive call taking platform, right? That's what you're seeing up here on the screen. Are you guys, Brad, are we seeing my screen okay with the dashboard? Just want to double check.
Yes, sir. See it good.
Alrighty. So this is the assistive call taking platform, right? So this is where you've experienced us prior with real-time transcription, all of your translation services, the summarizations of the transcriptions and translations, keywords, notifications, and so on. What some of the enhancements to this product is kind of what you're looking at here right now. So what you've historically have experienced with your location services, we now offer that in Prepared. That is your EED, ELS locationing, that's your alley, your what 3 words, height above terrain, and so on. And then we put a couple of little prepared, twists to that, right? So we've also are now providing verified spoken locationing, right? So if I call in an emergency at 911, PIN gets dropped on my location, but then the AI takes the description of where I'm stating, and it drops a pin on that location. So, 7-Eleven in First and Third or First and Main, it'll drop the pin there. And then as that conversation evolves, that pin evolves as well. So they might be in the back alley as an example. This just let's just really just provide the best visibility into allocating the best resources and giving your first responders the best situational awareness possible for that. And you can also see here on the map as well, as these calls come in, I can hover over them quickly, right? So we're all dealing with, I'm over in the Park City area, by the way, if I failed to mention that. So we're kind of coming up here on wildfire season, right? I mean, how many times you come over a hill, you see a plume of smoke, and you see an electric sign there basically saying, "Don't, we're aware of the wildfire. Don't give us a call," kind of a thing. This could act in a similar kind of way, right? So if I'm hovering over a lot of these calls and I see 30 calls in a specific area, at a glance, I know exactly what these calls are coming into, and I know where to focus my efforts. On the left-hand side here, these are your calls that are coming in again in real time. We tie into, and I say tie in loosely, to your call handling system, right? That is how we receive the calls in the transcription in real time. This is not a post-call effort. That would actually not provide much assistance to the call taker if this was not happening in real time. And that's just a simple span port into any call handling. We are call handling agnostic, right? So we don't have to be call handling specific. If I wanted to view all calls, I can here on the left-hand side. I can go ahead and select by position seat. And then I'm going to go ahead and dive in. And let's go for a little bit of a test drive here. Now, as I'm typing this in, this is my cell number here for the demo. One of the key things to remember is that everything that happens, everything that you're about to see happens automatically. There's nothing for the call taker to be doing during this process. So when I hit create, and we're going to use a shooting incident as an example, everything you see on the screen that populates is there at a glance for the call taker. So here we go. Brad, let me know if you cannot hear the audio.
314 Berry Road. There's a car, and there's been a shooting. It's a drive-by.
Okay, is anyone hurt?
I took a picture of the car. Yes, someone got shot. I believe 2 shots were fired.
Okay, 314 Berry Road, correct?
Yes, I was outside cleaning my car, and someone came to shoot someone else. It's the same people from last time. I took a picture of the car. I can show you the plate and everything when you get here.
Okay, and you said someone was shot.
I'm not really sure. I think so, though.
Okay,
I'm going to go ahead and mute that for right now, and I'm going to allow this to kind of keep running in the background. Again, there's a lot happening right now, right? So if there are questions, please do shoot them my way. I'll keep an eye on the question screen here. So you can see down here through the middle again, right? This is where your transcription is coming in, right? So you have your bold, which is the bold white, which is the call themselves. The number, the identified cell phone that is coming in on. On the right-hand side is the call taker's transcription here as well. Any device information that's associated with this call, right? So if we're dealing with this particular one is an iPhone device, if I've got any medical information associated with my device, it'll also populate here as well. Blood types, pre-existing conditions, height, weight, and so on, right? So as an example, if I'm on a call right now and I've got to fly somebody, or at least consider flying somebody, they're 6'8" and 380 pounds. Most likely, I'm going to drive them. I'm not going to fly them, right? So those little bits of information can be very helpful. What you're seeing here on the right-hand side is what the AI now is doing is taking that transcript, right, and it's summarizing the key details on the right-hand side automatically for you, right? So out of the gate, it's providing you what that incident description looks like, anything that might be viewed as a high priority, additional details that are associated with the call, location information, and then it does a really good job as well as of identifying license plate numbers and so on. But you can see the head start again that this would provide your call takers when trying to relay that information over to dispatch to get those calls out. On the right-hand side here, the top right, you can see you can copy and paste your summary and drop this directly into your CAD notes. It's not an all or nothing. You do not actually have to copy the entire summary. Obviously, that's a lot of information. You do have the ability to copy and paste each individual section here on the right-hand side and drop that in as well.
So one of the things that I'm super excited about in this ability that we have is if you notice up on the map there, you've got the alley feed coming in right now. Well, now we're able to do location services on a couple of other things as well. which we can also get the EED ELS data, which is basically the Android and Apple location from the phone itself on those 911 calls. And we have spoken word location. So if they say, I'm across the street from the 7-Eleven on this street, well, now it plots those locations, and you can jump to each one of them in this field that Brendan's showing right now. That it is just a huge tool to be able to validate what's going on. And on our non-emergent calls, if you do need that location service, you can always send the link as if you were sending the video to get that good "I'm right here" in the GPS, which makes it especially like in Aspen, we had the big problem of tons of tourists that had no idea where they were at. Well, I would just send the link and then they click on it and I've got a good location on them, even if they had no idea what they were doing.
No, thank you for that. And kind of to Brad's point here too, right? So when we have our overview, we have these other areas too to talk about. You already touched on locationing as well. Media, right? Well, how Prepared had gotten started 6+ years ago really was we found a way to deliver that live stream, that live video to your call centers, right? To be able to provide that situational awareness, and to be able to provide better scene safety for our call takers. Works great again for search and rescue items, fires, things of that nature as well. And that's kind of here in terms of your media, right? If I wanted to be able to share a live streaming video, I could do that. I could take pictures from the field. As a call taker, I have complete control over what is being shown. I can blur out the screen, I can black it out, I can mute, I can reverse their camera. Obviously, this is not two-way. They can't see into the call center. This is just a one-way feed out. But all of that information, everything that's associated with this call is housed here indefinitely, right? So all of your transcription, all of your media, right? All of your call audio as well. So instead of having to go back into your logger to look up or to listen to any of your audio, it is here for you and available. And we can line that up with your retention policies, right? So this is a browser-based, over-the-top technology. So this is not something where you're worried about adding more servers and in different stacks in your server room and things of that nature. This is it's a very versatile solution in terms of housing that data for you and your people. And when you need to be able to pull it up, if you need to manage, if you need to be able to download any of your audio, images, associated video, the summary report as well, the full transcript, everything that's associated with this call, it is here for you at your fingertips. And now, in addition to media, you've probably seen these flags popping up here in the bottom right. You have the ability to set keyword notifications, right? So maybe if you're away from the center, off duty, but you want to be aware of a couple of things. I was joking with Brad at Boulder that I'm being over here in Park City. We have now lost our precious Sundance Film Festival, and we'll have our last year here. But now he's going to be burdened with that responsibility. And you can imagine that you've got a festival and there's things that you want to be aware of that might require some additional attention. So you can set these notifications, right? I need to know officer involved, anything, right? I need to know gun, anything that is said either by the caller, the call taker, or both. I can be notified of. I get pinged on my phone or my laptop, whatever I might be using at the time. I can open that up, follow that call along in real time, and intervene if possible, or intervene if needed.
Well, and one of the funny things with that is like, I had no idea how often call takers say the word fire until I built a keyword for fire flagging. And very quickly, I was getting so many notifications that I couldn't even keep up with it. But what I realized was, well, I can actually decide that that's just the caller saying fire. And that's the only time it gives that notification. And we had it set up for, bears. We had it set up for drowning, fire, shooting, gunshots, anything like that. And right before I left, we actually got a call about an 18-month-old who had fallen into a hot tub and had drowned. And I got the notification in my office, and I saw that one of my new junior call takers was actually fielding that call. And I was able to follow along in the call, realize that they were handling it just fine, and was able to just watch what was happening until Dad got on scene and did a scoop and run. Then he tried to, I realized the situation had just become super dynamic. So I was able to jump out onto the floor and give instruction and help so that they could get that dynamic situation covered. Now, not only can I get those notifications, but we can also send those to the PIO, to any sort of critical incident notifications you need to do with specific words or phrases, because it doesn't have to just be one word. You can actually set up intents around phrasing itself, which is really cool, so that if you need to make notifications, well, they're already aware of the shooting and now you just give updates to them, or they log in and they can see everything that's happening, so that desk sergeant doesn't get on the radio and say, is something going on right now? It just gives us the ability to do that piece. And Brendan, you were talking about data earlier and how there's all of this different media and emergency information that we have on these calls. One of the things that we're actually working on now, that we're partnering with several of the PSAPs in New Mexico on, is, well, what if you take this call and you realize that it's not in your jurisdiction? Well, when you transfer that call, now we're building the ability that when that next call taker answers it, they already have the summary, they already have the locations, they already have the transcript, and they're able to get all of that data immediately. So they're not having to duplicate efforts right at the beginning of that call. And it's one of the first instances of over-the-top EIDO conveyance of transcripts, of audio, of your insights and summaries, and all of that information that goes along with that call is now available. So it makes those transfers and that data more available.
Terrific. And then just a couple other things. Obviously, we're still in the assistive call taking. We have a lot to kind of get to here, and in a shorter amount of time. So if I'm moving too fast, I apologize. We can always set aside some time to go deeper into these. Some other areas too, and we can talk on translation here as well. You can notice this feedback tab right here. So post call, what the feedback is it gives you a snapshot at a glance, right, of how well did this call taker perform on this particular call, right? So it's, there's a lot of green on there, but there's some reds that we kind of need to dive into and discuss a bit more. What you're going to be seeing here, and I believe it's by the end of this month, and Brad, correct me if I'm wrong, is we actually absorb, and we today with our quality assurance portion of this, we take on your protocols, right? We bring those in so that the once the call comes in, the incident is identified, and then those protocols are loaded. So this is your automatic QA, and again at your snapshot here. What we are rolling out here later this month, and let me go ahead and minimize my screen here. I'm going to bring in just a video, and it's called, if I can get my X here real quick, just one moment, is live protocol guidance. And so again, once we have these protocols ingested, we are now going to be able to provide your call takers with those protocols and how well they're performing against asking those questions in real time during the call. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video real quick so you can see what this looks and feels like. I just don't have this loaded into my demo environment yet. But I thought it was important for you to see this and kind of think to yourselves too, is this helpful for my people, whether they are green, whether they're newbies, you're bringing them on, if you're trying to get them cleared, or maybe have some veterans out there, right, that maybe just do things a certain way, and you can kind of keep them a little bit more on pace here with this. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit play, and you'll see what this looks like.
And while you're showing that, I want to kind of discuss, what it's doing, even with the quality assurance, is it's actually taking and identifying what call it is, and then making sure that the protocols fit within that. So that just like your quality assurance, they're not going to ask or require questions that don't make sense for the kind of call that it is. And so with this live prompting, it's giving you the ability to just have a quick reminder, especially on those high acuity, low frequency calls, that is just a glance over and the dispatchers remember this. The best part is these are going to actually be like one or two of, or I'm sorry, three of these will be actually showing up on top of the insight summary. So it's right on top of what the call taker is looking at the entire time to get that good data as prompts of, did you remember to do this? Did you ask this? As just a quick, easy guide to help them so that they're not having to pull up policy or go through another branch of protocols that they have to deal with.
Yeah, thank you, Brad. Great use cases. So that's just kind of again, high level of what you'd expect with assistive call taking. And again, there's quite a bit more that we can go into in terms of being able to share this and relay this to officers in the field. You have the ability to share the transcript, the audio as the call is taking place as well, to departments, to individuals that you want this to be shared to. So there's a lot of capability in what you can and cannot do with this call. But I also wanted to start diving into, again, still part of the assistive call taking platform is now more the translation capabilities. And I know we're going through this a little bit fast, so bear with me here. But there's really three buckets when we're talking about translation. Okay, primarily, what you've been used to maybe in the past is your SMS, your text-to-text translation, which I think is just under 250 languages now for SMS text-to-text. The second bucket that we provide is your speech to text translation. So if I'm speaking Vietnamese, if I'm speaking Spanish, and I call into 911, the call is translated in front of the call taker. The call taker then types back what they want to say in their response, and then the caller reads in their native language, right? So they're speaking in their native language and they're reading via text in their native language. The third bucket, which is what we're really excited about, and that's what I'll go ahead and show you here, is called the prepared translator. Up to about, I guess, a handful of weeks ago, we primarily had this in Spanish only. And this was where a caller would call in Spanish, call taker realizes they do not speak English, and then they launch a bot, an AI bot, that at that point, the call taker types in what they want to say. The bot then takes that text and speaks it back to the caller. So at that point, as the caller, you can then speak and hear in your native language. As of about a handful of weeks ago, that is now over 21 languages. That addresses just north of 96% of the non-English speaking population. And we're really excited about launching that. So again, what you're about to see here, once I hit create, this is the call. Again, everything is happening automatically until that call taker engages the AI bot for translation. So here's the prepared translator.
Sí, 950 East Avenue, apartamento D14.
Excuse me, is there anyone there who speaks English?
No, no hablo inglés.
Okay, one moment, please. I'm getting assistance.
Okay.
Please type your PIN to conference the prepared translator.
And there is no longer a
Prepared translator
pen.
95 has joined the call.
It is now just a button.
911. ¿Dónde está tu emergencia?
Sí, 950 East Avenue, apartamento D14.
950 East Avenue en el municipio de Franklin.
Sí, apartamento D.
I'm going to go ahead and mute that and continue to let this going on. Brad, as a matter of fact, we had a question. Are we working with any protocol providers? As of right now, today, we are not, but we are, well, I mean, we do ingest your protocols, those that are maybe a bit more hold on to their protocols, more like the EMD and specific providers like that. We are in advanced conversations to have those partnerships, but we will have some announcements coming up on that here very, very soon. So great question, Michael.
Right. And when we talk about protocols, we're talking about just the local SOPs. What do you normally have in your policy procedure on call taking? Not necessarily EMD, but all of those police, fire, if you're not using EFD, EPD, or one of the other protocol providers. We go through the other pieces, right? For law enforcement, for the majority of agencies, it's local policies and procedures that guide the quality assurance, guide the call taking process. And that's what we want to enter so that we can make sure that we're doing what your agency wants to look at, not only from the quality assurance side, but from the live guidance side as well.
Thanks for adding to that, Brad.
And this is Jennifer. I have a quick question.
Yeah.
I think this is fascinating. I did notice that the translation for when they said this is 911, what is your emergency? And it looked to me like the language that went back to the caller said 911. And so I assume that that Prepared is working on that, or would it have been different if they had put in 9-1-1?
Yeah. No, great point on that. So the transcription itself, whether it is in English or in another language, is, I'd say, probably north of 85, getting close to 90% accurate, right? There is still going to be that need for it to adapt and to learn. And during that, this being a generative AI model, it does learn from that over time. With that said, you do have the ability to coach it and make corrections. So when I come in here to a call or a previous call as an example, right next to it here where this is copy text, I can actually flag what was wrong, and I can say this is pronounced 911, not 911, and so on. So there is a little bit of a learning curve, a process of this adapting over time, but that is a good call out, and that is something that obviously we're not just us, but the AI itself adapts and grows over time with.
Of course, and that makes perfect sense. Thank you.
No, of course, great question. And so again, what you're seeing here, that user experience, right? It's the same look and feel as you would with a normal call that comes through, an English speaking call that comes through. It still takes this regardless of what language it's in. The AI takes that, it summarizes it in English on the right-hand side, provides all of the location data. Matter of fact, in this instance, it even took in your verified spoken location on the top right-hand as well. So media, keywords still apply here. You still get notified, again, regardless of what those might be. And for those of you who use like a language line or something of more of a manual process as well, you can imagine that if you do have call takers who still try to use that because it's what they're comfortable with, one of the things that will give them a big head start in more of a hybrid capacity is I know what language automatically is being spoken here and what's identified by the system and what dialect it is, right? Chinese isn't just Chinese, right? Is this Mandarin? What version are we talking about? What are we asking a language line to provide for us? So if you're using it as a hybrid, or if you're like a Baltimore, we use us at 100%, primarily for our cost savings. There's a number of ways you can utilize the language capabilities here. So I was going to go ahead and dive into kind of organically here into more the quality assurance. There's kind of a natural flow to coming from our assistive call taking into the quality assurance, right? So if you notice here again on this feedback, right, we were talking about once that call is completed, I can do a quick snapshot here and learn or kind of look real quick how well this call did perform. Now, let me go ahead and pull up another call here to just maybe see one that might be a little bit more robust on the protocols here. Okay, so we'll use this one. Oh, and by the way, here's again that emergency data up here in the top left-hand corner of the view, just for a little bit more background and so on into that individual. But if I want to do a little bit of a deeper dive, there's just a little bit too much red on here. I'm not too comfortable with what's going on here on the red side. I'm going to go ahead and dive into this and hit review. You can also see here in the top of the toolbar a training tab with the number 7 next to it, right? That flags the number of calls that still need attention, that still need to be addressed. But for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and dive into this one here that says review, and let's have a look at it. So one of the things to remember, and obviously I know quality assurance is big these days, right? And there's a lot of point solutions out there, right? You have your transcription translation services, you have your locationing, you've got your quality assurance where you kind of pull from maybe your logger post call and then have to go to another form to fill this out and so on. If there's anything that I would like for people to walk away from this with is that Prepared is a complete platform, right? It is a massive data gathering net that you cast out there. So whether it is your transcription translation, whether it is assistive dispatch, which is your radio transcription, right? Whether it's your non-emergency call triage, you're going to be able to QA against all of that data in one spot. You're not actually having to go to disparate systems to pull that information and run analytics and identify trends and things of that nature. What you're seeing on the screen here is all of the information that's associated with this call. Again, on the left-hand side, if I want to be able to play back the audio, I can do that. If the transcription's sharp, it's like I think it's saying what I think it's saying, but let me listen to it real quick.
I'm looking. Hold on. Oh my God.
I can play that back and hear that. Jennifer, to your point here, report transcript error, right? I can go ahead and select this as well. Not just here within the QA form, but in the ACT portal itself. I can describe the problem. I can tell you where the error occurred, and you can kind of help coax the AI along a little bit to adapt better to your environment. Again, any media that's associated with this call, the summary is right down the middle, your location information, keywords, and so on. What are the tags associated? Were weapons present, and so on? I then, as the call taker, as the supervisor, in this instance, I'm looking and reviewing this and then filling out my forms. Now, a couple things to keep in mind here. I'm manually doing this. I'm associating the appropriate form, and then I'm going to go ahead and drop in the call taker responsible. Um, End of August, what you're seeing here on the form on the right-hand side, that is 100% automated, okay? They will fill that form. The form that gets loaded automatically that's associated, the call taker is loaded as well, and that score gets developed for you on 100% of your calls that come through your center. Now, this does not eliminate the need for human interaction, right? You need someone to review this, to actually submit these to their call takers and have these discussions. But if you can imagine the manual load that this takes off the shoulders of your people who manage QA, I think that would be a big breath of relief, right?
Well,
Um,
and another piece that I think is really huge with that is, again, we talk about that data. We are getting a ton of data in this for all of your call takers, for all of your dispatchers, for everybody that we're reviewing, and that we can start providing that feedback. But not only that, but now we've got that information that we can start looking for in a very unique way. I'm sure Brendan's just about to go through the analytics dashboard and show that. But we've got a video of something else that I'm very excited about that's going to change the game as far as our searching for this information on this process of the quality assurance and the ways we can help our staff.
yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. You're jumping the gun here, Brad. Come on now. No, I'm really excited to show this. Again, on the form here, there's a couple of things. One of the areas that I really like that we worked with our design partners on, which our design partners are our PSAPs, right? We work closely with our PSAPs to make sure that what we are presenting, what we're providing our agencies is of need, and it's not just a nice to have. If you can see here, the NA, they're not applicable, right? So the appropriate form was loaded, call taker was loaded as well. But in this instance, maybe this incident created in less than 60 seconds isn't quite as applicable. If you see the score here, it's 381. I don't want my call taker to be penalized for something that might not be applicable to this call. So I'm just going to go ahead and check this box. And you can see that it reduces the overall score, right? So now I've not penalized my call taker for that. You have the ability to adapt and adjust the weight on each one of these, right? So if this instead of a 30, maybe I want this to be a 25. But if you can imagine what this does, not just from a time-saving standpoint, but you can do things from an assist on a mental health standpoint, because you're eliminating bias, right? I know none of you have, challenges with any of your call takers and dispatchers, and there's no bias and no favoritism and so on. I say that tongue in cheek, but this is make sure that it's uniform across the board. Everybody gets treated and scored the same way without, again, the human bias there. As I'm a supervisor, if I see additional comments here, I can go ahead and add good job. Good job. Let's have a chat. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put my comments in, and at the bottom right, I'm going to go ahead and submit this as the supervisor. Now, the only thing that the call taker is going to see is what has been submitted to them, right? They don't have access to the QA portal and so on. It is just what has been submitted to them. So if I come up here to this training portal here, which is your QA, obviously I'm an admin on this, so I have the view of the supervisor and the call taker. Again, this flags calls at a glance that need to be addressed. I can scroll through any one of these and review them. On the right-hand side, you can see a quick snapshot of what this is. Again, this provides your automated score, which is 50%, not so great. But as the call taker, I want to go ahead and look into this a little bit more. Okay, here's my score. Supervisor sent this off. I'm going to go ahead and view the feedback on this. And as the call taker, I have the same view, the same information that my supervisor had. when they were scoring this out for me, and then when they were reviewing this. On the right-hand side, I may actually notice something that's I get what you're saying, but we need to talk about this a little bit more because we've got to add some context here. So I'll just go ahead and say, let's talk. And then instead of accepting, I'm going to go ahead and dispute this. And this will go back to my supervisor, where then we can just have a conversation like humans and discuss this in greater detail. So that's again, a little more of a high level of the quality assurance side of this. To Brad's point, again, we have cast a very wide net in terms of the data we capture. Well, what do we do with that data? How can we synthesize that? And that's where you go into your supervisor dashboard and analytics. So if I come into here, and I'm going to show you a couple of things. So in terms of the analytics, right, you can carve up the numbers and the data however you want. You have an unlimited amount of custom views that you can create, right? I want to know the last 48 hours with these 3 positions. I want to review all of my officer involved shootings that happened in the last 48 hours. Oh, and by the way, I also need this compared to these call positions with, between these X dates and so on. You have the ability to then download, share, review the data, identify trends, start working on predictive analytics. But one of the exciting things behind this, and what Brad was alluding to, is I'm going to show you this video here. And again, end of August. Let me show you real quick what this is going to look like. Let me go and blow this up here. So I'm sure people here, I've used ChatGPT as an example. I know I use it. I don't know if there's an original thought in my head anymore because of ChatGPT, specifically around my emails. But that same experience, that same user experience, right, where you just type in what you want and then it kicks it out. Well, now you'll be able to have that capability here in Prepared, only leveraging the call data that comes in. Again, this is not external. This is not exterior. This is within your universe, within your center. All of that data is being used for this process. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play, and you'll go ahead and see what this looks like. Again, coming out here end of August. So, and again, instead of having the drop-down metrics and the time frame, you type in exactly what you want, and then it provides that information for you in a consumable format, right? Graphs. Oops, sorry. Sorry, another question here. I need this. I need this compared to what are my QA scores over the course of the last 7 weeks as it pertains to a specific incident. Oh, and can you graph this out for me? Oh, actually, you know what? I don't want this in a pie chart. Can you go ahead and throw this into a bar chart for me? You can save, again, up to as many of these reports and send this off. So you can imagine how fast this happens, right? You can imagine too having all of your data, all of your call information housed in one area, one platform, versus having to go to these disparate systems and putting together these reports and forms. When you can tell it what you want, it provides that information and you can send it off and get it off your desk. I'll go and remove this here. Not sure if there's anything else you wanted to add to that, Brad.
This tool was created for the quality assurance to be able to see the different types of calls, the challenges with calls. But when we started digging into it, what we realized was this has data on everything that the calls are doing. And so it's really providing deeper insight into call duration. How long does it normally take to take a non-emergent call versus an emergent call? What is our averages? Who's doing the fastest call creations? And which one of our call takers is answering the most calls the quickest? Or what's the order in which calls are typically answered on a Wednesday? And the amount of just types of data that you can pull that we've never been able to pull before is just amazing in this. And I'm super excited to get to see just the kind of insights that we're able to pull from this kind of text-based learning.
Yeah, perfect. Right. And again, in terms of creating the dashboards as well, you want to monitor what it might be a non-English quality assurance, things of that nature. The ability to synthesize this data is virtually limitless, and this is something we're really, really excited about. So, I'm going to go ahead and dive into non-emergency triage. And if you give me a second here, I'm going to go ahead and switch demo environments here. This is another hot topic, clearly, that we're all dealing with these days. And I came from, again, the CAD and records management world, right? I've worked with dispatchers for well over a decade at this point. And for some reason, before coming to Prepared, I did not know the amount of non-emergency calls that come into the center versus 911. I think our national average is somewhere north of 60%, just like 62, 63% is national averages. So you can imagine where, a World Cup event coming to Seattle or Kansas City, or the Olympics coming to Salt Lake, where, having the ability to, one, remove the non-emergency and get those addressed in a timely manner, but also allowing your call takers to focus more on emergent calls and so on. This again is our entire platform is powered by a generative AI model. So when you're talking about checking the triage box, or when you're checking the kind of a translation box, it's important to understand what type of AI that we're dealing with here. Okay, this is not your typical phone tree triage type solutions, right? Your call tree, do this in case of this, do this in case of that. Where you're probably only addressing, I think on the high end, about 15 to 20% of your non-emergency calls. And that's fully humming. With an AI generative model, and we have case studies in referenceable agencies today using this technology with provable stats, you can come in almost out of the gate removing 40 to 60% of your non-emergency calls. If you can imagine what that would do for your center and what that would allow them to do in other areas of their responsibilities, I hope you can see the value in that. So I'm going to go ahead and run through just a scenario. I'm going to call in and pretend like I'm just a caller here. Give me 1 second. I'm going to load this up. And I'm going to mute the actual demo, and I'm going to put my phone on speaker here so we can hear this a little bit clearer.
Thank you for calling the Colorado 911 Task Force. If this is an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. How can I help you today?
Yeah, I'm just wanted to call and report a stray dog walking around my neighborhood.
Okay, to clarify, is this an animal that you do not own?
Correct, I do not own it.
Okay, I need to ask you a few questions. What is your name and address?
Yeah, my name is Brendan, and I'm at 123 Main Street.
Okay, that's Brendan at 123 Main Street. What was the animal doing?
It's just walking around my neighbor's house right now. It does not seem to have a collar.
Did the animal appear to be in distress?
No, it just seems to be kind of walking around looking for food.
When did you last see this animal?
I'm looking at it right now.
Does the animal have access to food, water, and shelter?
No, I don't see any food or water, but I do see some kids that are coming out, and they looks like they want to play with the dog.
Okay, so just to confirm, your name is Brendan. You're located at 123 Main Street, and you are currently observing a stray dog that doesn't appear to be in distress, but seems to be looking for food. Is that correct?
That is correct. Actually, the dog is now biting one of the kids. It's biting the kid's arm.
Oh no, is the child seriously injured?
Not that I can tell, but he's biting him right now.
Okay, since the child is currently being bitten, this sounds like a more urgent situation. Please hang up and dial 911 immediately.
Okay, so there's a couple of things, however you have this programmed. I'm going to go and end this call right now. This one is programmed to, and you can change this up in your settings. It can do, well, a number of things. One, obviously it says, please hang up and dial 911, which is fine, if that's what your protocols are. Also, we can say, hold on one moment, I'm going to transfer you into that call center. So it really just depends on what those protocols are, what those procedures are for your agency. But with a generative AI model, again, there may be a scenario or situation that you have not planned for, right? So, and it's much more, it has a much greater ability to address the situation versus kind of that call tree model, because if you haven't accounted for it, it's not going to get addressed. It's going to get jammed up. If you have, some communities also, they like to speak with humans and so on, which I completely get. The default is, hey, I want to speak to a human. It'll default and send that over to a person for human engagement. So in terms of its ability, in terms of addressing the situations, getting them over to maybe animal control, or pointing them to utilities, or providing them links or documentation that they require. It's just a much more flexible solution that can pivot much more efficiently than maybe more of your traditional solutions that really were not really ever made for public safety. So. But again, too, this is something to be aware of, that this is not something your call takers are even seeing. This is operating in the background, right? This is addressing that. The only thing that they're going to notice is the reduction in call volume to their center. Now, as a supervisor, someone may be monitoring these. You can follow along with any one of these calls. And you have the ability to push this over to the center. If you're monitoring the conversation, you want to get this over and send that in, you have the ability to override that and get it in as well. So. Brad, anything else to add to the non-emergency triage side of the house?
We've got about 9 minutes left, and I've got tons and tons of thoughts on this. So if you guys want to talk more about it, I'm more than happy to. It's got just an amazing ability to remove the burden of those regular calls. We saw in San Diego, they stood this up in like 3.5 weeks, and they're already starting to field some of those calls. Anoka saw, I think theirs was like a 20-day period as they were standing it up for 4th of July, and we're actually able to triage all of their fireworks calls through this uh, almost immediately. And so there's the time it takes to stand this up and get it ready and do maybe one or two specific kinds of calls is very, very easy. And the build out is actually surprisingly simple, especially if you're used to more narrow AI that's doing if and then flowchart kind of stuff. So this is a super, super powerful tool that I'm very, very excited about.
And again, kind of tying into your analytics as well, right? So in this in particular, where you can filter this out, you can run by custom dates, and I want to look at maybe all of my noise complaint calls. I want to be able to filter this by certain intents, status, things of that nature. Of course, moving forward with our new analytics tool in that ChatGPT-like approach, you'll be able to tell it exactly what you want. I want to be able to review my non-emergency calls that are involved with this specific event type on these dates, and so on. So again, just one more tool, one more data gathering net to have cast there. So I'm going to go ahead and just touch on here briefly the assistive dispatch, which is really our radio transcription. If I come back here to my other environment, just give me one moment. And radio transcription is it took a little while to kind of get up and running. Obviously, you have the point solutions or solution or two out there that have done it successfully or not. But again, the end result here for us is we want to be able to capture as much traffic, as much data as possible, whether that is call data, whether that is radio traffic. And one thing I didn't mention as well to the assistive call taking portion, we are not just taking in 911 calls, not just cellular calls. It is taking on everything: your 911, non-emergency, landline calls, voice over IP, you name it. Anything that comes through and touches your call handling, everything that comes in is tracked and recorded for you to carve up from an analytics standpoint and look at that data. The radio transcription side, if you can kind of, what you've seen so far with the user experience, I'm going to go ahead and remove these from a multi-view. What you're seeing now is a multi-view. If I am just here kind of monitoring my radio channels up here on the left-hand side, I can choose, maybe I'm just following law enforcement, or maybe or it's loading right now. Sorry, my connectivity is going down a little bit. I can follow my channels here on the left-hand side, right? Obviously, you're going to have a much more robust channels that you're going to be following. But what this is, again, is an additional set of eyes and ears for your call taker, right? This again is happening automatically for them, right? They're involved in the call right now, but they overheard something while they're monitoring their radios. Did I hear that correctly? At a glance at that screen, they can look and see, all right, it sounded different. It's not what I thought it was. I can move on now with my call. And again, you can see this endless stream of radio traffic, right? Where I can play back the audio. Did I hear that correctly? Does that sound right? Does that, what I'm reading here, that doesn't quite seem right. Let me listen to it.
Doc, I think both these cars are operable. I got them all.
Okay. And again, just verifying what you have heard, maybe what you haven't heard. And then on the left-hand side here, right, breaking this out by incident, what the AI is doing, a lot like what it does with the call taking side of the house, right, is it takes that conversation, that audio, and it summarizes it for you. Now, instead of having one summary, clearly you have a lot of different calls coming up, right, where you need to be able to do that. So if I want to select on building fire here, I want to open this up. And I want to see, what is the nature here, location, what are my status updates, that are involved with this. I can take a deeper dive on that. If I want to go to the audio itself, I want to listen in on what was going on, not just read it.
We're pulling up one.
I don't have to scroll through an endless amount of radio traffic. It's there for me. It points me directly to where that call took place. And then if you see here too on the keyword side, the same thing that you would experience with your call taking and your non-emergency, which by the way, I don't know if I failed to mention that the non-emergency, you can create keywords and notifications from non-emergency as well. You can be notified about something that's happening in the background. Same thing with your radio traffic. If you've got keywords associated, things that come over the radio, you can be notified of that. You can go and open that up and follow along with that radio call in real time as a supervisor, admin, whatever that might be. So, and again, pointing to what we call the prepared platform, all of this is housed on one platform. Again, one massive data repository, right? And we want to be able to provide that. We hear time and time again. We even heard it from Brad for years. I cannot add another screen to my console. I cannot have my dispatchers walking in like an airport and having 14 monitors in front of them. I need to find a better way to consolidate this, make this easier for my call takers, and again, just really aid on the real estate side of the house. So we have 3 minutes left. Just a couple things I definitely wanted to hit on here. Obviously, if anybody is going to, I know we spoke with a lot of you at NINA, great conversations. Also, as well as the state APCO earlier this year was great as well. But if you're going to be at APCO in Baltimore, please stop by. I'd love to be able to do a deeper dive into some of these subjects. In addition, Brad and I will be over at LEDA 911. We're going to be hosting a lunch and learn with Kim and Val and their crew there, showing off their new center. We're looking really forward to that. It'll be actually August 7th. Those invites will be going out. So if you see like a blanket invite out there, just be aware of that. I think, Kimberly might actually send that out as well. But please do join there. It'll be great. It'll be a couple hours. We'll get everybody fed, and it'll be a great conversation and dialogue from an agency to agency standpoint. I really love doing these. So we'll get that information out to you here very shortly, maybe today, actually. So Brad, any closing comments for you here with your minute and 30 seconds left?
No, just wanted to say thank you to everybody, and if you have any questions, I'm always available. LinkedIn, everybody knows how to get a hold of me some way, so I'd be more than happy to have conversations with anybody.
Terrific. Well, everybody, thank you very much for your time, and you'll be hearing from us shortly on this. We'll be happy to go deeper on any of these subjects. But thank you for everybody for attending, and then also most importantly, thank you all for what you do. We're not here doing this unless you're out there doing that. So appreciate you.
Thank you, Brendan and Brad. We very much appreciate your time, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.